Okay, I want to do a video about how I would approach Donald Trump within the limited amount of information that I know about the whole system, which is not extremely limited, but it has its limits. So, what, how I would go about doing it is, one thing I kind of learned from sales is you gotta, like, in order to, like, what I would do is I would get a, have a company in mind that I want to target and just learn more about them and see if there's an opportunity for me to go in there and do something. And the more information I have about that company, the better job I'll be able to do in presenting an argument for my side. Do you know what I mean? The more I'll be able to figure out the flaws in, not flaws, but ways I can improve their printing needs was the case in my situation. So laugh if you want, and it's fair. But anyways, that's what I needed to do. And so I would look up the company and like I'd go there and talk to people, like let them know like who I was, but I'd be looking around at everything and seeing how everything worked. And anyways, the whole point is I need to gather information in order to put a case. And so it's very similar to Trump. It's like I think it's a disservice to yourself and the cause of opposing something if you don't learn about it. I just see a lot of people as just like, oh, he's this and oh, he's that, and that's what it is. And it's just like everything is just a one answer thing. Like everything is, oh, it's this and nothing else. You know, like people who talk about, like, also in the opposite is like people talk about, oh yeah, Hillary should have done this, and it's like, oh, and then somebody says, oh, you're just you just blame Hillary. It's like, no, I'm saying something specifically. Like I'm not involved in this. It was just something I saw, but it was something they said specifically about Hillary, and then someone took that idea and just wiped and was like, oh, that's all you think because that's the only information that they have about them, and they didn't take that time to be like, oh, maybe they think other things. It's like, oh, they just see one thing about the person, oh, that's all you think about, and oh, you just blame her for everything. It's funny how people work sometimes. I don't know if you're following along with with the analogy, but it's funny how people work. So with how that applies to Trump is, it's like what I'm reminded of is like I haven't studied any, Eastern or Asian, or I don't know what you want to call it, but any of that martial arts and stuff like that. I don't know any of that. But what I remember and little things that I hear from that is like you need to respect your enemy and you need to know your enemy. And unless you're able to respect your enemy, then you're not able to beat him, kind of. And I really have found that to be true in my life when I'm going up against something, or if I have a challenge or whatever, and I can see the challenge, I'm like, how the fuck, I don't know how to overcome this. Like, instead of making it like an oppositional thing where I'm like, I hate this thing, and I want to try to beat it out of my life, or into submission or whatever, or just get it out or whatever. But that doesn't solve the problem. What ends up solving the problem usually is when I take a look at I look at it and look at where it's coming from and give it the respect of like, okay, it's there. Like I need to acknowledge that it's there and look at what it is, and then maybe it's something that I can change, something that I can't change, whatever. But that allows me to move forward without it being an obstacle. Do you know what I mean? And so Trump is very similar to that, where he's an obstacle that nobody can, like, as much as anybody wishes that he wasn't going to be president or whatever, I don't know, maybe like some weird things are going to happen that he won't. I have no idea. But as long as he's going to be president, then there's nothing anybody can do, and they just need to work with him. So what I've noticed about that was kind of the preface, this me setting up my point. How I would go about dealing with Donald Trump is by being super straightforward and dealing with him like he wants to be dealt with. Like, by listening to him, like, I'm just telling you what I'm reminded of and why I'm thinking the things that I'm thinking, because it helps with the message. But in sales, you learn there's different types of customers, and different types of customers just want different things, and it's irrational. It doesn't make sense, but you just have to go with it, kind of. So what I mean by that is, some customers, they just want exceptional customer service. They don't give a shit about the product. They don't even care. It could be like triple the price that it should be, and as long as you get good service, then that's what they're gonna buy. And then there's other people who like need to know every fucking detail about every fucking thing before they make a decision, and you might as well just hand them a paper of statistics, because there's no conversation to be had when it's just all about statistics, which is fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's very, like, I'm not saying any of them are wrong, they're just different. And then there's the other person who is like, if they like you, kind of thing. You have to make sure that they like you, or else nothing. It doesn't matter, like, you can have the best customer service, you can have the best product, but if they don't like you, like on a personal level, they won't trust you, and they'll never go with you. So I think those are the three. I just honestly made that up. I've never thought about that before, but I think that's a pretty good list of the three general, like, kind of fundamental types of customers. And how does that factor into Donald Trump? So there's different combinations of the two of them. So the kind that he is how he has expressed how he likes to deal with people and how he likes to be dealt with. If I'm looking at him from a sales perspective, from a perspective of, I'm going to go and sell to him, and I need to get inside his head and understand, his trains of thought and his logical, his trains of logic and all that. Then you start to understand a person. But so that's what I've kind of been doing with Donald Trump, and the way that I would approach him in a sales way to convince him and bring him on my side is, he just cares about money, and he cares about being like, in like having a feeling like he is loved, kind of. It's like he's replaced, like, normal people like have a desire for like affection and love from other people, and they want to be close, and I think some other people get that feeling from money. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't get that from other people. And so he gets that from money. So by surrounding him with money and doing this and that, that's how you kind of play to his desires. Do you know what I mean? And you can do that and to the people who are going to say, oh, then you're just letting him win. No, but you have to understand what his weaknesses are. You have to give him what he wants to make sure that you get what you want. But you can do a lot of work behind the scenes to trick him into, like, if I was the kind of the opposition to Trump, I would do a lot of work behind the scenes to put together like strategies of approaching him in different ways with different amounts of money, and doing that in exchange for certain policies to be enacted. and it can be publicly or not publicly or whatever, however that needs to be done. But that's how he's being dealt with, and that's the only way you're going to compete with the corporations right now, who are just doing that. They're literally just doing that with him behind the scenes, and so they're getting their policies enacted. But the common person, or the majority of the population, is not having their quote unquote voice heard through money, because the money is the thing that has the value right now. It's the people's, like, you got, like, one thing, like, people's voices don't have any value, like, in a lot of areas. They've devalued in an economic kind of sense. If public opinion is money, and people's voices sway that in a certain way, people, and it's not news to anybody, but that just has happened. And so you got to work with that. And so since people's voices have diminished, like, maybe, like, it just, the opposition, I think, just needs to do it dirty and quit fucking whining about that Donald Trump is not doing it the right way, because he's trolling it, he's not doing it in the right way on purpose, while doing what he wants to do, so that you complain about him doing it not the right way instead of what he's actually doing. So, or even if you do that half the time, still he's up. He's like, it's a net benefit for him to still continue doing things in a non-politically correct way, because that's what people come at him, or like are hostile towards him about, 50% of the time. And it fucking doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? This is like, we're dealing with a lot of serious policies and all that, and I'm not going to list them or pretend I know them all, but like, political correctness, like, needs to go out the window with a guy like Trump. You need to, like, we've devolved from the point where it's like, oh, let's try to be, nice to each other, to like, okay, we need to, like, fight for these, like, basic things in our lives. So yeah, I think that was a good rant. I'm gonna put this over, I'm just gonna put this as audio over a picture, I think, because it's not worth me going out in the fucking cold to make videos. Anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate. Oh yeah, I should say also, my last video, I took it down. I made that super quickly, and I've kind of had I've kind of had this idea in my mind where I'm just going to be completely honest and just say, and not try to cover up my fuck ups. Do you know what I mean? So that video was like, I hastily uploaded it. I should have watched it before I uploaded it. It made no sense. It was like, it just made no sense. I was just like outside freezing and like rambling about something, while trying to condense all my thoughts into like a shorter form, to try to get it under 5 minutes, or just shorter, and it was like, I just didn't do it right. So that's so I took the video down. It was stupid. Anyways, but I feel good about this video. So yeah, thanks for watching. And yeah, the video type is gonna be a little bit different until it starts to get warmer out here, because I can't. I don't know who I don't know. I'm sure most people just like listen to the audio, maybe, because the video is just shaky trees and rivers. It's not anything really calming. I'm sure. I need to figure that out somehow. Like, but the problem is, like, I need to talk. I need to walk while I talk. I can't just sit and talk like that. Do you know? I can sit and have a conversation because I'm not continually talking, but I just will lose my momentum if I'm sitting down, kind of. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you later.